Hello and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. So as you may recall from last episode, we're taking a break from Satisfactory because it is October, and that means we're going to play some spooky Halloween games. We're starting off with Hexen, one of my all-time favorite games, and if you want to hear me wax poetic about how much I loved this game when I was a kid and how much I used to play it all the time, every weekend, go back and listen to the beginning of the first episode. But again, it has this Dungeons & Dragons spooky gothic vibe, and it's just so atmospheric. I love it. Look at the leaves blowing off of the trees, the noise of those crows. It just really has this really dark vibe. And again, this just feels like Halloween to me. The red sky. Oh, I love it. I love it. Anyways, enough poetic justice for this game. Let's dive right in. So we are in the 7 Portals section of the game. It's the first real hub and spoke level. And we finished out the Guardian of Ice the last playthrough, that red portal you see there on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, we are going to be going into the second of the 7 portals in this playthrough. And first off, we're going to have to deal with some serpents that are going to be blocking our way. Easily dealt with our brand new Serpent Staff weapon. This just cuts down enemies very nicely. We pick up a little bit of mana on this flechette. And now we're going to go into, again, the second Guardian level, which, as I recall, is the Guardian of Fire. Here we go. Now, you see that they're doing a lot of neat scripting in this game, and we're about to see some of that here. As soon as I walk through onto that platform, the ground is going to turn to lava. So we're going to want to dive through into the passage on the right-hand side that you can just barely see. There we go. And now, also, because they like that cheap trick, enemies are going to appear right behind us. Nicely dealt with. And more enemies then appearing right behind us. Now, this does turn into a little bit more of a first-person shooter now that you do have the ranged weapon. It feels a little bit more like Doom, but still, there's some lovely melee combat that still happens. And again, thematically, this looks nothing like Doom. Okay, we pop over here and throw this switch, and this is indicative of this particular game. It said the 1/3 of the puzzle has been solved on 7 portals. So back at the hub, we know that we're going to have to throw 3 switches that we find throughout the levels to open up that next section. We have a couple of doors here. Now, this one, as I recall, we can open. They don't really give you a lot of indication of what you can open and what you can't sometimes. That can be a little frustrating in this game. All right. And again, this looks like a way too simple of a room, this causeway. It's just a big gray block. So as soon as we touch that, we know the ground is going to drop out from under us. So we're going to want to run across this as quickly as possible so as not to fall to our doom. Oh, and note that the door back here that we want to get to closed behind us. Less than ideal. Now, I'm not going to go back for those flechettes because I've already got a full round of flechettes. I don't need them. But this little tiny jump here, this can be surprisingly difficult in this game. Platforming in all of these Doom-style games is unnecessarily difficult. And this game has a lot of bottomless pits, and this is one of those. So what we're going to do here, just to be safe, we're just going to save. Let's try. You never know. Let's see what we can do here. Woof. Okay, made that. And I also remember that there's going to be a couple of flaming gargoyles again down there that are going to come after us. You can hear them screaming. Grab that switch. And then we actually have to go all the way back. Yeah, there they are. And there's a second one down there too. Gonna take him out at a distance, and again, never can be too safe. Let's see if we can make it over this. Okay, it looked like an easy hop. Get the flame mask, and that's going to be one of these item keys. This game has standard keys like Doom, and then you also have special item keys that you use in particular areas. Oh, there's a third one. Forgot about him. special item keys that you're going to use in certain areas, and that unlocks additional places that you need to go. So that flame mask we're going to use later on. So I believe that's everything there is to do in this level. So we're going to head on back to the main of 7 portals. Now, that now counts for 2 of those portals in the name, and then the third door has now opened. And again, we're going to see that same exact repeated level pattern here 5 more times, I think it is, where that corner there is going to inevitably spawn serpents. I guess 4 more times. There we go. And again, we're playing on the easiest mode right now. So that means that the serpents we're encountering are a little weaker, and we're only seeing the green serpents so far. There's some really nasty brown serpents that we're going to potentially run into later. This, of course, is going to be the Guardian of Steel that we're entering into. Okay, again, very evocative, these big steel walls. And again, it looks very thematically different from the last level. And we're also encountering our first centaurs. Now, centaurs are a pain, mainly because they have those shields. If I use... Oh, I'm being snuck up on from behind. Amateur mistakes. We already talked about this. They have these shields, and they block hits. That also means if you're using a projectile weapon on them, it'll bounce back and hit you. So my poison staff is not a good weapon to use on them. But the flechettes are surprisingly effective against them. You can also just keep grinding them down. But sometimes what I like to do is kind of try and lure them into a hallway like this, and then drop a flechette so it forces them into its path. It'll freeze them, and they just take continuous damage in that poison cloud. Again, that's special to the cleric, that it turns into a poison cloud like that. With the warrior, they just explode. And you know what? I don't remember what happens with the mage, whether they just explode bigger or not, but the cleric's poison gas cloud is super effective. The only trick with it is, of course, that it also can hurt you. So, double-edged sword. And then, again, another serpent here. We're going to use the trick where these barriers are low enough that we can hit him, he can shoot fireballs at us, but aside from that, he can't actually melee attack us through that wall, which is great. There's a switch over here, somewhere, that is going to move a moving block, which you can see the diagonal white area there, that stairwell. That's going to lead to an elevator, and this will move the block out of the way of our path. Okay, open up that gate, switch our weapon. And then we're going to switch back, because I remember that down here I think there is... Oh, no, I guess not. There's not a centaur down here. Well, again, we're playing on easy. But see this little window here? Again, they give you a hint of things to come. So we're going to see if we can't use this to our advantage to take out some of those enemies that are going to be waiting for us. Good. Sounds quiet. And now we just want to clear out any enemies that might be lurking in this general area. Yeah, usually there's a couple. See, and he blocks my first hit. So you gotta just kind of keep waiting for him to drop his shield. There isn't actually any sophistication to that in this game. You know, you don't have to like time it precisely. You just keep hitting, and eventually, after a set amount of time, he'll inevitably drop his guard. There we go. Now, as I recall, there's also, of course, going to be yet another serpent down here to match the other side. There he is. You can see the shadow. Ugh. Can't really dodge that. And we're not going to deal with those centaurs just yet. Now, here's the elevator I was mentioning. Now, again, they're going to do the typical jump scare thing. You open the door, and of course, yeah, there's a serpent. No spoilers. Switch weapons, just in case. Okay, and again, see, this is the pillar blocking our path. It's going to be moving back and forth. So for right now, it's moved out of our way. Go down this little secret passage area, grab a few more flasks. And then I think another serpent may have spawned in here. There he is. Okay, took him out, and now another one of these switches, distinctive as it is. And you see another third of the puzzle has been solved. So that's 2/3 of that puzzle if you've been following along. We go back up the elevator. And immediately get cornered into a tiny, tiny elevator with some not friends. Okay, let's see if anybody else has spawned up here. Yeah, of course. Of course. They like to make it hard for you coming back through as much as going down. Okay. And now we just want to leave through the other door, not the one that we came in by, so we can clear out that path. And here we're going to use that switch on this side to pull the elevator to the opposite, or the moving platform to the opposite side. Is there one more? No, I think the other one already ganged up on us previously. So we pull that, and that's going to move that platform again. We go down here, clear out any enemies that might be lurking in this alcove. And then we go back through the way we came. Again, always making that extra lap just in case anybody wants to pop out and surprise us. You're also getting some foreshadowing here of later parts of the level. Again, they'll use these windows with grates to show you things that you're going to have to deal with later. Like this room and these flame birds again. We can actually take those out now, which we're going to want to do in advance if at all possible here. And on the opposite side, you'll see a portal to an icy realm, which also should look familiar at this point. And we're immediately being attacked by some of these ice monsters that we're going to have to deal with on the Guardian of Ice later. Is that all of them for now? Okay, great. All right, back down where we came from. And of course, always going to use that trick on us. Someday we won't fall for it. And you do have to reset the elevator. It keeps track of its up-down state, so you have to go up and then back down again if you do get caught in there with monsters. Clearing this out, and then this last switch. Okay, so that's another third. So by my count, that's 3/3. Hopefully the math on the portals is the same as my math, and that does mean that something new should have opened up on 7 portals at this point. Oftentimes it'll tell you. It'll say, you know, a window has opened, a door has opened, something to give you an indication that a new area has been unlocked on the 7 portals. Wasn't there? There was definitely an enemy just there a second ago. Okay. Oh, another centaur. That's where you got to. You went on walkabout. Nope. Just deal with these folks who are blocking our path. This looks like a door, but you never actually get to open it, which is a little frustrating. I spent a lot of time pondering over that one in my youth. Okay, and now we're back at 7 portals again, having left the way that we came in. Okay, so the first 3 portals have now been opened. I don't think... There's 3 sets of stairs here that have not risen yet that we expect to rise. The back door still isn't open, but I do think the first of the 3 portals on the west side of the map. Yeah, see there, that first door has now opened. So we've cleared out the east side, and now we're going back to the west side. Now, all of the portals on the west side, woof, gotta remember how to strafe here. All the portals on the west side go to the same 3 levels we already saw, but they're going to drop us into other places in those levels that will let us explore them further. So we're going to open up a little bit more each of the Guardians of Ice and Fire and Steel. Okay, grabbing a little bit more mana and due diligence here. Let's not forget to save our game as we go. Okay, so we're just going to want to go down here, deal with one of those ice monsters I mentioned. I like how they explode into shards. That's a nice little touch, but they do shoot those projectiles actually that do a lot of damage. And here we just want to be careful. You see these spots on the floor? Those are rising pillars that will cause us to have a very, very bad day. So we don't want to get squished, so we're not going to hopefully have to hit any of those. Ugh, those projectiles. So again, spots on the floor, very obvious. We just need to be real careful. And it's especially hard because, as you're seeing, I'm not pushing the button there. This is ice. I just slide around. We've got this little platform that rises and falls. There's a couple of these that are timed, which can be very frustrating, again, if it's the first time that you've played the game, because you don't know that they're timed. You can just assume instead that you have to flip a switch, and you'll just run around looking for a switch that doesn't exist. So always check to see if everything's on a timer or not. And definitely some baddies behind this door. Deal with them. And then on the opposing side, yeah, we just have a couple of items we're gonna grab real quick and stock up. There we go. Due diligence, save frequently. Okay, and now as you're going to note, we are back on the Guardian of Ice. And you can see in the top left corner there, we are kind of behind and off to the side where we were before. That's already unlocked on the map there because that's the last place that we started. So this time, we're coming in off of a different side, and we're going to see if we can remember how to unlock the next chunk of this. I think we sneak behind here. Yeah. Deal with a couple of folks. And then that should unlock some new areas here. So yeah, these stairs open up, and then another switch down here. And that opens up this area. Now, let me be frank, y'all. I do not love jumping puzzles. It is not my preferred style of play. And there's only really a torch and a crater of might over there. That's not worth the hassle of jumping across icy platforms and falling to our doom. So you know what? I'm sorry. I'm copping out. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Here again, this seems like an obvious trap. We're gonna dash through just in time to dodge a few of those, but we still caught a couple even with running. Again, they like to have enemies spawn right behind you. That's a favorite trick. And then we keep going up, heading back towards where we had been before. We pull this switch, opens a little elevator, and this puts us right behind the section we were in previously. Again, this is right where we started. Here's the amulet we saw before, and we're right there. Oh, and of course, the second you grab it, it spawns a whole bunch of enemies all around you. No, there's no free lunches in this game. We just double check that there are none around any corners here. Yeah, of course there's some around the corner. And that means inevitably there's some around the other corner. There we go. And some hiding in the dark. Is that all, y'all? I think so. Okay, these doors still closed. And now there's 2 new arrows. See those? That means that we've got potentially hidden doors we can go through there. So let's go ahead and deal with these. And I'm guessing, yeah, they're going to open as soon as we walk up to them. I didn't even push the button. And again, those little lighting effects there, right? Where it's dark and then they light up. And when the enemies pass through, they go from being completely in shadow to in light. It's such a nice little effect. And back then, you don't actually have lighting in the game so much. They're just doing an adjustment of the brightness on a tile. It's just a cool little trick. Now here, that indentation should look familiar because it's the same shape as our mask of fire, our flame mask. So let's go ahead and use that here. And again, using that item causes some walls to open. Whew. And for us to fall down into a hole. There we go. And it also unlocks the fire key, so we're going to just grab that. Then the walls close back up. And I believe that's all there is to do in this room. That fire key, of course, opens the doors that we saw on the Guardian of Flame. Now, let's see if we can go through the other one. Now, that's an elevator. And of course, now we have to deal with a bunch of those folks. Now, here again, we're seeing the falling floors and rising floors. Inevitably, that means there's going to be things that are going to cause us to fall to our death. That's kind of a pre-indicator. Okay, so we pull this switch, and again, I know the floor is going to drop out. There's going to be some squishing that happens, potentially of where we already are. And now we have to kind of navigate our way through here, which again is why we save in advance. This tends to be painful, and we don't want to drop to our death. Okay, again, big empty rooms. We know what happens when there's a big empty room and an item just sitting there waiting for us, inevitably. Yeah, floor has to drop out, enemies have to spawn. Things get squished. We just want to stay as far away from that as possible. Oh! And of course they wait till the last second when you think that you're safe to spawn enemies in behind you. Few more mana. Just clearing out this room systematically. Again, we just had to get that other key, the key for the Guardian of Steel. Clearing out all the corners. Okay, now for here, a bunch more jumping puzzles. Diligent saving, always a good idea. We're just going to work our way back to the entrance. All right, let's see here. All right, we made it. Through the magic of editing, I did that on the first try. In reality, I think that took me about 5 or 6 tries. We're back here in the main room, and as I recall, there's nothing else to clear out here in this section of the Guardian of the Ice. I don't think we'll be back here for a little while, hopefully. So we're going to jump on through. Oh, and of course, spawning enemies right behind you as soon as you drop in. Always. Okay, so back here in the 7 portals, one of the stairs has risen. So we're going to go through here, deal with some of these enemies that have respawned just to make our lives difficult. Take a look around, see if we see anything moving. No. Good. And then we're going to climb right up here and throw this next switch, Dragon Skin Bracers, which gives us additional armor. That is a usable item, as you can see here at the bottom of the screen. instead of just automatically adding to your armor class. And I believe that that switch I just pulled should have opened the next of these doors on the opposite side. And it did, of course. Okay, we're going to have the same monsters spawning in behind us that we did last time. Yep, there we go. Always a serpent waiting behind you. And we dive right back into the Guardian of Fire. Note that it dropped you right in the middle this time. That's just mainly to save us a little bit of a hike through that entry room. That is a nice addition, even if it is dropping you with enemies right behind you. And now we have the fire key, and that means we can open these doors on either side. They basically both lead to the same general area. Again, very symmetrical layout here. And then we want to pull the switch on this side. That's going to let us go back up, or excuse me, drop us down. Clear out everything. And again, they're doing that trick where the ground dropped out from underneath us. And that's also giving us a little passage back up to the top here. Now, I do want to note for a moment, one thing that they're doing here with the lava. For those of y'all who play Minecraft obsessively like myself, all they're doing is putting an animated texture on top of a polygon, a flat square here. And it gives it that flowing effect. It's just, again, really, really neat. Minecraft does the same trick for its lava animations, its water animations. And again, it's a really, really old method of mapping polygons to look like they're moving. It's just for that flowing water effect. It's just really neat. I just really like that. Okay, so from here, there's a couple of secret passages that pop out here, which you wouldn't know except for by the mask icon telling you something is amiss. And now this kind of leads us into this back area here behind the Guardian of Fire with baddies in every alcove. Just have to systematically clear them out. And you'll notice the local teleporter. Usually when you see that fire, it means that you're going to teleport to a nearby location, not a faraway location. And just finish clearing out all these. One other thing, like Doom 2, Wolfenstein, they use flat two-dimensional sprites placed onto the map to give the illusion of a third dimension. But that means any items that are laying around actually are flat. So as you see that I'm turning, these graphics are pivoting, but you're not getting another side of that gargoyle, right? It's just being skewed to match the angle I'm looking at. So you can't actually get around to see the back of it. Which again is an interesting design choice to get around limitations, to add these extra items in here. Same for the items that are floating. And again, Minecraft uses that same trick for its items, unless you're using fancy graphics. All right, so enough about that. Through the teleporter and immediately find ourselves assaulted on all sides. Again, they love to do that. Got to be prepared for that. And you'll see that we ended up just behind where we were, not very far. So, another switch. Stairs has on the 7 portals, so that's going to be the second of the stairwells. And always check behind you again, where you spawn from, because you'll see this little snowflake star icon thing. If you tap that, that's actually going to be a teleporter as well. And quickly bring you right back here. Now, if you did those in the opposite order, you're going to have a bad time, because you'll have to hike all the way back through. Okay, so the second stairwell has now risen of the 3. And we'll go up here, and then we'll pull the switch. And as I recall, that now should have opened the 6th door of our 7 portals. Over here, no. Ooh, and also appears to have let out some monsters that we're going to have to deal with. Is it the north one, south one? Ah, here we go. Yes, this is the door that was open because this is where all the monsters are pouring out of. And again, at this point we have learned that behind us, inevitably, is going to be serpents. Yeah, you can't surprise us after the 4th time we've gone through this. Grab some more mana. And now we're going to be opening up this portal that's going to take us back to the Guardian of Steel for the last time. All right, so before we get started on the Guardian of Steel for the last time, I think we're going to take a break. We're going to end this episode here. We've cleared out almost all of 7 portals. This is going to be our last trip to the Guardian of Steel, and then we're going to get to the end section of 7 portals, which includes a bonus level that we can unlock. So really excited to check out the bonus level and show you all a bit more of that. So, but that'll have to wait for next episode. Thank you again for joining us here on Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you next time. Bye, friends.